Hi, and welcome back to Wildlife Wonders. My name's Leilani, and this week's topic is Ocean Zone. So, if you want to learn about the different creatures that live in the ocean, just keep watching. Ocean zones. These are layers of the ocean that are separated by the amount of sunlight that reaches there. And as you go deeper, the water gets darker, colder, and there's more pressure. And the three different types of zones are the sunlight, the twilight, and the midnight zone. Let's hop in our submarine and head to our first destination. The sunlight zone. This is the top zone of the ocean. This is where the sunlight enters, and the heat of the sun makes this the warmest zone out of the three. This zone is 200 meters deep, or 2 football fields, making this the shallowest part of the ocean. The kind of animals that live here are jellyfish, turtles, stingray, crabs, blue whales, the tuna fish, seahorses, and plankton. Many of these animals have so many different types that they can be found in the other zones. These animals have to eat, so photosynthesis is super important. What is photosynthesis?
Photosynthesis is a process where plants can take gas in the atmosphere and then use the sunlight to convert it into energy that they can use. They give off oxygen when they do this.
Just like plants on land, marine plants use sunlight in the same way. So why are plants important to have here? Well, the animals of the sunlight zone eat them, they even live in them, or they use them to hide from predators. The plants that live in the sunlight zone are the seagrass, red algae, kelp, sargassum, and coral reefs. And this is a snippet from the Aquarium of the Pacific's live webcam of their tropical reef that's supposed to represent the blue corner off the coast of Palau. This is what it would look like in the sunlight zone of the ocean. Now on to our second destination. The twilight zone. This is the zone below the sunlight zone. This is where the deep sea starts. This zone is about 1,000 meters deep, or just over 10 football fields. But it can go as deep as 20,000 feet, or just over 66 football fields. There's very little sunlight that reaches the twilight zone. Therefore, it's a lot colder in this area, and with the lack of sun, it's so dark. Not even you could be able to see anything in this area, no matter how open your eyes are. And there's no photosynthesis, which means there's barely any plants here if there's any. Animals that live here have adapted to the darkness by having huge eyes. Another adaptation is bioluminescence. This is when a chemical reaction happens inside the body of the creature and light is produced. They're basically glowing. Such as the anglerfish. They have a fishpole looking thing that grows out of their head, and it's just a piece of their spine. This is called the lure. This attracts prey, it helps find mates, and protects against predators. Animals with bioluminescence also have the skill of counter-illumination. This is when the animal uses their bioluminescence to adjust their light on the undersides to match the light from above. They camouflage from the sun, the moon, or the starlight. They help protect themselves from the predators from below, like the shark. This is what counter-illumination looks like. The left side is before they started glowing, and the right side is when they started glowing. Other animals with this type of ability is the octopus, the angel shark, the eel, the cuttlefish, plankton like I mentioned earlier, jellyfish, and squid, and many more. This is a BBC Earth documentary snippet about deep-sea creatures that exhibit bioluminescence. Here's the anglerfish in the Twilight Zone. Now let's head to our third and last destination. Midnight Zone. This is the third and final ocean zone. This zone starts around 4,000 meters deep. That's about 106 football fields. This also holds the most of the ocean water, 90% of it. There's absolutely zero sunlight at this point in the ocean, so now it's completely pitch black darkness. The only light that could be seen is by organisms that uses bioluminescence. Without sunlight, it's absolutely freezing. And there's so much pressure at the bottom of the ocean. This is why animals from the sunlight zone could not live here. Their body would get squished and their lungs would not have enough room for them to breathe. Some of the creatures that live down there are the krill, the sea cucumber, the hatchetfish, sea urchins, the squid, and lanternfish. And these animals rely on food that came from the top of the ocean and floated all the way to the bottom, which is super rare. So food here is super scarce. Trenches can be found along the ocean floor. They are habitats to so many more organisms that we have yet to discover. This is a snippet from a National Geographic documentary about the world on the ocean floor, and this is what these scientists discovered. If you enjoyed this week's topic, we have an activity that goes along with it. If you keep watching, there'll be a tutorial, but you can find the instructions on our website. So you're going to make your own ocean zones. So with the water bottle and the help of 3 different liquids, we're going to be able to see the dark midnight, the lighter but bluer twilight zone, and the yellow sunlight zone. Have fun and good luck, and we'll see you next week. Also, don't forget to take a picture and upload it on our Facebook. If you enjoy Wildlife Wonders, check us out on our website every Wednesday of May and June. We'll have Wildlife Wonder activities and more fun to come. Alrighty, so we need some corn syrup, vegetable oil, we need water. I just filled up a water bottle full of water, but you don't need that much. You may need maybe just half the bottle full of water. We need some food coloring, so we're gonna use blue as the Twilight Zone, black and purple for the Midnight Zone, and we'll need a container to put all our liquids in. This container needs to be clear, and so you can use a water bottle. I have this empty one, the third bottle, standing there. You could totally use that. I ended up using a mason jar just because the stickiness from the sticker on the water bottle just made it hard to see through, so make sure you have a clear container. Now, I realize how difficult this experiment could be without a visual, so this is why I created this portion of the video. So you'll see that with my trial and errors, I had run out of some of my supplies. But a measuring cup would probably be best to figure out how much you want to put in your container, but you can just kind of eyeball it. So let's get started. Alrighty, so you see me putting in a couple dots of black food dye and now some purple, just a little mixture, just a few dots of each. And you want to do this first before you put in the syrup. And so here we are putting in the corn syrup. I have a half cup here. Really, you want to make sure that this takes over about 2/3 of the container that you're going to use. So this is why I kind of said to eyeball it. Now we're going to mix together our food coloring and our corn syrup. So now we're pouring in our midnight zone. You want to make sure that the mixture is being poured directly in the container and not touching the sides. Now, as you can tell from my mason jar, my midnight zone is really small. Yours should be about 2/3 of your container. It's going to be the biggest layer of them all. So now what I'm doing is I have some water in this container. I only put in a little bit at first and then added in a few drops of blue dye. And then I started mixing it together just because I want to make sure that I get the right amount of blue. So the right amount of blue is making sure that it's lighter than the zone below, because this is our twilight zone. And you want to make sure that you can differentiate the layers. So if your blue is not differentiating from the purple and the black, you just want to add in more water to dilute it. So it's super important that when you're pouring in the twilight zone, especially when you're adding in more water to keep getting the blue lighter, you want to make sure that the container is tilted. Remember, since this is the twilight zone, you want this to be the second largest layer that we have. And here's my 2 layers. So now we're ready for our sunlight zone. So we're gonna pour in some vegetable oil. You could see a distinct layer, but remember, you want this to be the smallest layer of the 3. Again, mine did not turn out like that because I ran out of supplies through my trial and error, but that's science. And here's our final product.